right, so we have audience of citizens.
You want to do a roll call, Mr. Chair?
Roll call?
Yeah, don't we have to do a roll call?
I've never done it.
Okay, oh, then it's fine. I mean, yeah, it's on the agenda. I just, anyway.
So, I guess we can start. Start that. You want to start doing a roll call, just so we know who's here verbally?
Yeah, I mean, you want to.
Usually you call out the commissioner.
Here, Alex Giannoni here, John Dyken,
Yeah, here.
Melissa Uranaga,
Here.
Commissioner Rogan, Dave Rogan here. Do we have to do the chief and the deputy chief?
No, I think it's just your.
All right, so we're moving on to audience of citizens. Do we have an audience of citizens?
No.
No,
Okay. So
We have an audience, but no
we have
citizens.
approval of the minutes. We have an issue with the minutes. On the second page, minutes, it says, it follows, it was also the consent of the commission to pursue a waiver for the residency of Chief McNally. This would need the approval of the town council. That's not true. So we're going to delete that sentence from that. We don't need their approval to make a decision as the police commission. Okay. Anybody else have anything?
yeah, there was something else on here. Oh, the attorney's name was not meant. My attorney, well, that's my attorney, but a different attorney was representing that night. And I got his name.
Oh, that wasn't.
No.
His
no.
law firm is like the Mint Law Firm. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, it's, the guy's name is Francisco Pacone. Pacone is Picone.
I'll go, I guess.
Mhm.
Bottom of the first page, it's, second to last sentence, it says Attorney D'Onofrio directly. I think it's Attorney D'Onofrio directed the commission to review the chief's contracts. Same one on the second page, and then top of the third page, it reads, I think it should say a motion. It says a moron.
That's that one.
That was it.
That's it. All right, so we have, do we have any correspondence?
Well, we got to make a motion to adopt.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so we need a motion to accept the minutes.
To accept the minutes with the corrections.
Second,
Second.
well, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have, or any correspondence? Do we have any letters? anything
Yeah,
like
they
that?
were all given different things, but nothing specific to the count, to the commission as a whole. It was all individual.
None? Okay, so we're going to old business. We're going to the chief contract / residency. Chairman Rogan in parentheses, we're going to move this forward to the next month. The reason for that is that it's a matter of courtesy and in recognition of the fact that town council approved the original contract with the chief. And so what we're going to do is the commission is going to go before the town council. We're going to allow them to just ask us some questions, and that's what they asked to do, just as to be polite. And this was Jeff D'Onofrio, our town attorney, agreed that that was the appropriate thing to do. I think everybody's in agreement. So, okay, so we're gonna.
This is the first I'm hearing of it, so I just wanted on the record, because this is the first I'm hearing of it, I'm not necessarily in agreement. I'm not, I mean, we have the power to extend the residency contract or not.
We do, but.
And I understand it's courtesy to let town council know
and this
what
is-
happened in the last month, because you were gonna let them know what
this was a
happened.
Recommendation by, the Jeff D'Onofrio. So apparently, at the beginning of this week, the town council attempted to inform the police commission that those were their wishes. They didn't do it a month ago. They did it at the beginning of the week, so we just simply parked. And we're gonna, and to give us an opportunity to, as us, the commission, to get together and get our bullet points together, is what we want to.
So last
So I guess
night,
my question is, how come everyone knew, but Brian, were you aware of this prior to today?
But Dave called me this morning.
Okay, at the beginning of the week, how come we all weren't? Because this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Well, I do like to call everybody, but generally when I try to call you, you don't answer your phone, I'm trying to call. So.
That's not true, Dave. I always call you
Well-
back, and you are always welcome to text.
I pursue that in the future. I'm just
You-
saying that
you-
Generally, as you have 3 Republicans and Democrats, you guys can caucus together, we can caucus together. He's the vice chair, I can share with him, he can share with you. I can talk to you too, I don't disagree.
As a chair, I thought we were discussing this issue, so I'm struggling with the tabling of it, and so I just wanted to note it for the record that there's not. consensus.
This is the recommendations of Jeff D'Onofrio.
So, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, you as chair are making a determination, we're gonna pass this matter tonight. It's
Correct,
gonna remain on the agenda as unfinished business, and
correct.
it can be taken up at the next meeting. It's not going anywhere.
It's not going
It's
to-
not like we're voting to table it and we can just keep it there as the majority. It will come up at the next meeting.
Correct.
I spoke with my attorney today. I'd like to say something.
Sure.
I would like,
Understood.
first of all,
No, understood.
to be witnessed appropriately, not have to watch the meeting from last night to see that the mayor directed this. And I believe that it's got to be on the next agenda, which you have to do
Mhm.
at the town council, so I can
I
have,
agree.
I want written notice and notifications to my attorneys, and I can be present.
Got it.
Which town council meeting are we discussing? Are we
I think there's
expected to
1 or 2
arrive?
weeks.
April 8th.
April 8th, so we meet before and it's.
I'd also like to get other commissioners to make themselves available for that. meeting.
At what time?
So they're always
At
at
7 o'clock.
And I would imagine.
What day of the week do they meet?
You did receive
Tuesdays?
a telephone call from the mayor for this, right? Because my attorney spoke with D'Onofrio twice today, and I heard a totally different story. So,
I can speak to the mayor.
I thought the mayor was not in charge of this commission. I thought you were in charge of this commission.
Oh, I know, but you can talk to the chair of the police commission.
3.5 years I've been here, and I answer to the police commission. I don't have a problem with you making a vote and pushing that information off like we do everything else to the council to let them know what you do. But if we're gonna allow the town council to make decisions, then I have some rights too, and I would like to have notifications made to me.
They have.
I'm not getting notified. I find out at an hour before the meeting today.
They're not making any decisions for us. We make decisions here.
Then I don't understand why you can't make this decision now.
Per request of Jeff D'Onofrio.
He's the town's attorney,
This is what he asked for.
not a
Can I ask,
resident.
can I ask why? He asked the town, I'm just trying to understand. The town's attorney asked for us to put a pause.
It's appropriate protocol for us to apparently do this.
And it didn't, and
I've
and he
taken
told
it
us
for
that
face
last
value.
month.
Mhm.
We've never gone to the town council in my 14 years here for not approval, for blessing.
Well, the contract, I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know why we're starting this precedent. I hate setting a precedent like this.
My understanding is the town council ratified, they had the opportunity and did take that opportunity to ratify the contract. So they already have had their say. And that's what town attorney D'Onofrio was pointing out to us. And this was discussed at the last meeting that we really shouldn't be taking action until we get a blessing from the town council as to their preference, or at least hear us out. And that was from direction of the town attorney. I certainly didn't come up with that. I don't think anyone else did. I mean, we're just following what I think town attorney D'Onofrio was rightfully saying, that what the town council does is not binding on us. I don't think anyone disputes that. I think the whole issue is we gave them the opportunity, they took it to ratify this contract. And per town attorney D'Onofrio's direction, we really do need their input here. Again, if however they come out on that issue is not binding on us, we're the ones who make this decision.
Absolutely.
I guess my struggle is, it was said by Attorney D'Onofrio at the last meeting a month ago that we should get the blessing of town council.
Correct.
And I'm struggling to understand why it didn't happen last month at the town council
They
meeting.
just reached out to apparently Chairman Rogan recently. I mean, I'm not sure when, I don't know the
I don't know
timeline.
why it was done at the last minute, but it was, but I certainly wasn't gonna accommodate them at the last minute. Because it would have been, that would have been it too. So. this is why we're doing this.
Well, I think hanging the police
Okay, well,
department
yeah.
out like this is inappropriate. It's tough, because my people downstairs don't know if I'm gonna be here next month or not. Everything's been put on hold. You're leaving me hanging all the time. When you talk about people's feelings and all, every day I come to work, I don't know what's happening. I have lawyers, I talked to my lawyers today. They're like, well, we had agreed with this language from Attorney D'Onofrio that it was gonna be brought up tonight. Now you wanna kick it down the road further and let the town council make the decisions, and they keep the mayor's comments from last night's meeting. I watched them, was, changes to the contract. We weren't talking about changes to the contract. We're talking about an extension in writing that wasn't in writing, which was a failure of this commission when they did the vote the first time around, because we didn't have proper direction. And didn't have proper direction for 3.5 years that I've been here.
My opinion is we do not need the blessing of the town council. I think, or I know that the police commission has the full authority to make that decision and make that determination. Attorney D'Onofrio at the last meeting stated that, and I actually agreed and stated as well, that out of deference and respect to the town council, we should make them aware of what was happening. I think they have the right to ask us some questions regarding why we did what we did, give them some historical context, give them some current context. However, at least I can speak for myself, they're not going to tell me how to vote or give me undue influence on how to vote. I believe, out of respect for them being the people that ratified the contract, we owe it to them to explain to them how we got to where we are and kind of where we're gonna go and what it's gonna be. I kind of already have my mind made up on how I'm gonna vote, but I think out of respect for the town council, I think we share it with them, give them the opportunity to ask us questions, and not for nothing. For future employment practices of anyone else, not even just the chief, these are potential issues that could be vetted and vetted out once that person is hired, and then that contract gets ultimately approved by the town council. Like, oh, you know what, we dealt with something like this, a residency requirement, maybe there's some language that needs to be changed. That's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Commissioner Giannone. Okay, we all set? Moving on. Police Department renovation project update verbal. Anybody like to talk about that?
It's just about done. We started moving stuff into the lockers today. You got your new key fobs to get into the building. There was a couple minor things that are still being taken care of. And now it's on to the next project if they have the money.
Wonderful. Police Department communications project update verbal.
Same thing. We have just about everything that we needed ordered coming in. They're doing the work on the radio system. They're going to be going into the dispatch center pretty soon to start doing the work in there for the extra console setup. We've had some computer issues that they're being worked on in-house.
We're gonna move on to the monthly report. Is there anything you want to report? Anybody, any commissioners have any? For the record, there's questions about what we've agreed to with this overtime. We went before the finance board, agreed to, reduce it. But it's been brought to my attention, and I don't know if I could get clarification on that there's no program that allows us to actually track very accurately.
That's
how
not true.
overtime is. It's done manually by hand.
No,
Human ears.
overtime We have a system that tracks everything to the minute of overtime. Every dollar we spend on overtime is tracked.
Okay.
And we can print out a report at any given time for any month, for any day, how much we've spent on overtime, what it was for, who worked the overtime and how much they made during the overtime. So I'm not sure we got that information because we've talked to the town council about this numerous times. They know that we have these printouts. We brought them to this commission before. So, no, we have very thorough reports on
I
overtime.
wanted to get clarification on that. I gotta say that graph that we came up with for the last presentation that we brought to the finance board with the blocks and everything else and showed the total at the end of each month. It made it very crystal clear to understand. I appreciate that. Is there anything else on the chief's month? Is there anything you'd like to comment on, chief?
No, my report stands to speak for itself.
Move on to the investigation division, Lieutenant Sola. Attorney Javier, would you like to comment?
Other than what's in the report, there's a couple updates. Things with this weekend that, we did one for suspects in each of those. So those parties are going to be served. They're currently incarcerated already on other charges from other jurisdictions. Those arrest warrants will be served shortly. So it's a good end and good teamwork by a lot of different agencies on those ATM thefts. We did our first our first underage compliance checks with our alcohol sales in our community that we have in a while. We had 2 violators out of all the merchants that sell alcohol. So those 2 merchants were issued infractions and referred to liquor control for the violation.
We do like Stop and Shop too.
We did, yeah. Yeah, anywhere that that sells retail, not sit in and drink at the bar, but anywhere that sells retail, we did the compliance checks at.
Was it actually underage or was it questionable age and they failed to get identity, that kind of thing?
We have confidential informant that is underage that goes into the establishment without ID, tries to purchase. So they don't show any ID. If they're asked for ID, they say they don't have any. They're sold product without showing ID, that's the violation. And a couple, you guys have probably seen recently, that these will be on next month's report because they're current. We had the attempted car theft at Hubbard School, which we made arrests in. Those were 2 juvenile suspects, I believe, both referred to juvenile court. At the purse snatching at CVS in town, that case is still active. We also had the auto theft at Willard School during the day. So that was during the school day where one of the teacher's cars was stolen. And another stolen car was left there at the same time. Those incidents, although not on the same day, could be connected to CVS purse snatching and stolen car. So a couple of good active cases we're working on.
I did, so that we received in a commissioner's email, there was a picture of a white car that was involved in that horrific motorcycle accident. Did that young man, Scott, who was young man, did he survive? Is he still here?
No, he's still alive.
He still is?
He's in
Yeah.
very serious condition, but he's technically awake, although he's on a lot of medication, so we couldn't really talk to him. But he's at Hartford Hospital. We finally located, unfortunately, we had to jump through a lot of hoops. The officer working on this, Clark, did a great job. He was just beating bushes trying to find out. Basically, we have a non-contact vehicle that essentially caused that crash. They turned right in front of the motorcycle with nowhere to go. He swerved to the left and then hit the car that was behind her, essentially head on. He's got all kinds of broken stuff. He's one eye will probably never work, you know, the whole bit. So,
So the car cut him off and he tried to
car pulled right in front of him, turned left right in front of him. So we put that on the news a couple of times. We have a very good relationship with the media, particularly WFSB. And when we got the picture of the women from the restaurant, we put that up. And I think the other agencies didn't pick it up, but because I personally reached out to Dave Ward there, he put it on both the noon and the evening news. And then after that, and we're not quite sure if it's related to seeing the news story, but apparently there's a camera at Stop and Shop that we didn't know about.
I was
That
gonna
is
say,
a much better camera than the cameras that we've gotten stuff off before. And they had a camera there that shows that car pulling in and the plate on it. So we ran the plate, it's from Newington. And so now we have that information. We're gonna go and interview those operators. Even though they're a non-contact vehicle, they were part of that crash and essentially were responsible for committing a violation that caused the motorcycle to crash.
and they probably
So-
realized what happened, it just took off.
They knew they were in a crash. They told the server at the restaurant, a motorcycle almost hit us.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Did they stop? My understanding is
they stopped
on
in
side
the
of road.
driveway briefly
Yeah.
and then just drove into the parking lot and went to have dinner. So, I mean, they weren't physically struck, so there were two elderly women. So, I mean, we talked
Yeah.
about possible charges and stuff. Essentially, what we have is an improper turn. They made an improper turn in front
Was
of the
there speed
motorcycle.
involved here? Because I observed some pretty high-speed maneuvers going on.
Yeah, no, we've watched the video before. I mean, I can't say that the motorcycle was necessarily driving exactly the speed limit, but we didn't see anything. As a matter of fact, just prior to the crash, a car was turning left into the pizza place and pulled right in front of this guy. And he had to move to the left on the center line to avoid hitting that guy. Then went back into his lane, and then the woman is right there in front of him, and he swerves a second time to the left. So he was essentially cut off twice in a row. So he certainly was not going that fast.
And that ends, because my office is opposite Bill's Pizza, and that like, so many businesses right where they are,
Yeah.
the driveway's directly opposite,
Yeah.
and that light, it's,
Yeah,
when traffic is flowing, it's hard to get out, in and out, and people aren't paying
yeah.
attention
yeah,
to what they're doing.
absolutely. There's a lot of traffic. I mean, you drive down there in the afternoon now, and even, you know, around noontime, but particularly around dinner time, I mean, it's packed.
Mhm.
It's packed up through the downtown. So, yeah, Officer Clark did a great job. We have the information now, and so I think we're pretty much set on that.
Regional reconstruction team?
Yeah, they were doing.
Okay, so the flock cameras are being budgeted for year 25-26 budget. And
Those were approved.
When will they be functional?
Well, they were approved. The finance board has approved them. The town council has now approved the expenditure of the 2.6 million on the capital. That was included in the capital. So the next step is now on April, I think it's 8th, they have to have a public hearing technically to approve that. And then after that, I would think that the money, it's a non-budgeted appropriation, so they could really just dish the money out anytime after it's officially approved. So we did sign that contract. We got permission at last night's town council meeting to have the chief sign the contract so we could get the reduction of the $15,000 off the total first year bill. And we have signed that contract tonight. We sent it back in. So we're good with that. So now it's just waiting for the funds to be released.
Commissioner Gianna?
It may be a little peremptory, but in anticipation of it potentially getting approved, maybe either handle or delegate or sign out, considering some policies for it. I would maybe reach out to other departments to see what they do, but like my concern is like the abuse of it, right? Or the appearance of the potential abuse and maybe some teeth.
I spent my night last night with the flock people.
Yeah,
And,
so it's
yeah.
too soon to do it now because who knows what could happen, but.
There was actually
It's on
another
your
deputy
radar.
chief that asked the same question,
there's
and I've got a bunch of emails with policies in
Yeah,
it. So
it's
I'll,
model
if
policies.
we get a
and
little
stuff.
closer, I'll go through those and
Yeah.
we'll have to implement
Yeah,
something.
almost something similar to collect. I just don't want, and I hate to talk like this, but I just don't want someone using it and on illegitimate purposes and, you
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Mhm.
And
It would have
also
the
gives
same-
public some
We
solace.
would
in
give it
knowing
the
that.
same safeguards essentially as collect. You're right.
The software itself actually just had an update. Last time I signed it, it used to just ask for a reason, and it was generic. You could put anything in that box to run your query. Now there is a reason and case number.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah,
put
just
the
like
case
what you do.
number.
Maybe like a
That will be
supervisor, the shift
dictated by our
supervisor has
policy.
to approve it, you know, something. You guys
Yeah.
decide how best to do it, but just to
Right.
kind of give the public
Mhm.
some solace in knowing that it's being handled,
Right.
handled judiciously. So,
And the nice thing essentially about the flock data is you're not getting anyone's personal information from it. It's just the plate and the picture of the car. And then we develop the information from that.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a stolen car or something that's been entered into that database and it flags on that, then you'll get the information. But most cars that pass through it, you're gonna get the plate number, the picture of the back of the car, and then if we ever go search for that type of car or the plate number, it'll pop up and say, it was here at this time
Yeah.
on this date. And that, I mean, that's really, really what it does. But like if we had the flock data, we would have already had that car entering town. We could have searched the time frame just prior to that. Because we searched flock, but we don't have any cameras in Berlin, and we didn't have any where that car entered our town. So we did, there was no data. I mean, there was like hundreds of hits for that type of vehicle. So
The flock camera will take a picture of every car that comes.
every car,
Every car.
every
So
car.
This way you can't find
yeah,
it.
it stores the
I
plate.
just worry about like, oh, is my significant other
Mhm.
doing something they shouldn't and going
Oh,
to visit someone
absolutely.
they shouldn't and
Yeah.
pulling it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep, 100%.
I do
all right,
know
don't want to believe that.
our BRTC meeting, one of the fellows there had concerns as to the privacy of the flock system, and I said, no, it deletes the information in 30 days. That's a
Right.
correct statement.
But what, that is a correct statement, but what most people think, and last night at the town council meeting, one person voted against it. And, and I could have given him more information, but it didn't seem appropriate at that time, but I think what a lot of people think is it runs your plate.
Mhm.
And then it stores the information, your personal information, but it actually doesn't
Just
do
shows
that.
the picture.
So it just takes that picture, so. Once people understand what it actually contains, you'd see it doesn't really contain any personal information.
Right. And then we can, does the commission have any, because it's kind of à la carte, we can set the parameters, we call it access. Yeah.
Well, you could- The agency, the department can set its own parameters on how they want to limit or expand the scope of its use. So they could say, we only want to use it for these types of felonies or felony and misdemeanors, or with the approval of a lieutenant, the chief, or a sergeant, like they could kind of à la carte tailor how they want. So, I suggest we give them deference to create it how they want it, but maybe just show us the policy so we can kind of
So we.
speak to people about it intelligently and say, hey, no.
Because that's what happened. I got a question on it and they just, oh, no, they're gonna take and sell this information.
No.
I think there was a belief that Flock owned the data. They actually do not. We as the customer own the data. That's created from Berlin. Southington owns the data that's created from Southington. They could choose not to share their information with another law enforcement agency. I haven't heard of an agency that does that. We do share with each other, but that's agency to agency. It's not outside, it's not commercial, it's not marketing, it's not anything other than law enforcement to law enforcement.
Appreciate that, thank you. So I find that in the, moving on to the Kevin Chafee report, juvenile activity report, I understand there was a school bus driver that was lost. And he was driving away, and it got a lot of attention. Apparently, it also happened to be because there were, it had been a snowy situation where turns were a bit on the wide side. I just found that was interesting because back in the day when I was a kid, I helped that go out. I was always the last one out of the yard. Go take care of this route, Rogan. I gotta tell you. You had a paper in one hand and you were staring at the other. There was no GPS that told you, go here, take a left here, stop at this house. You just had to take and drive at the same time until you learned it by heart, which is why you'll see a lot of buses start to do bus routes before school ever starts, so that drivers familiarize themselves with the route. So in all fairness to somebody that has to pinch it, that's a tall order, I gotta tell you. Anybody have any other comments, possibly? Looks like Detective Chaffee's doing a really good job. And he works with the cadets also, I think. How does Penguin plunge go? Did all the cadets go swimming?
No, just once his parents let him out of school. Because they had school, so some didn't go. A few hardy kids whose parents are also involved with Special Olympics said, yeah, you can come out of school for the day, so.
Moving on to support services, Lieutenant Jones. Does any of the commissioners have any questions? So the reserve officer program, is that starting to amp up now that the weather's getting nicer out?
Well, it's always
It's
there.
always there.
It's
Yeah,
always available. I mean, they
Well,
sign
the
up for
work
what
has
they
to be
want.
available.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when there's only a few jobs, the reserve guys are never gonna get
The
it.
last ones.
You know, they only get stuff when there's a lot of jobs and we can't fill them. So yeah, you probably won't start seeing them again until the,
Probably
Some
end
of
of
the
this
projects
month,
start.
beginning of April, you'll see more road work starting to come in when the weather gets better.
So when they come in here, they just grab whatever's in the lot that's available kind of thing.
Yes.
Or the other commissioners have any,
Yes,
questions?
yes, I just want to make a comment. On the third to last page, the private duty fee waivers, I bring this up every month. Year to date, we're at 5,927 fee waivers, for private duty, coming out of our budget, so just wanted to note that. And that's it.
Are we gonna have a conversation? We've talked about it a couple times, and seeing as we have to go before town council in 2 weeks, maybe I don't know if that makes sense to have the opportunity to discuss with them, or when we're gonna take the opportunity to discuss with them, maybe capping the fee waivers annually. We've talked about it here for several months. When are we gonna move it forward?
I think that would be fine if you want to, if you would like to. You can cut in, does it have to be a separate agenda item?
Yeah, I think so, but if you were, as the chairman, were to reach out on behalf of us, if we all agree, we could probably add that to the agenda item.
This would be done at the beginning of that meeting.
You would have to ask them because we don't create their agenda, but if you have proposed to submit it, or if you submit agenda items, they
I
can.
think we're all gonna be there the next couple of weeks. Why not take the opportunity to do it? We're there.
think
I believe
should
you have
reach
to
out them ahead of
submit,
time.
You
yes,
want to add it time?
Yeah.
yeah, you have to
To
do an
formally
agenda
add
item,
it.
otherwise
Yeah.
they won't let you bring it up.
You gotta get in
Correct.
touch with Kate Walsh. She's pretty tough on those agenda items.
Unless we bring it up in the audience of citizens.
True.
but if we want to bring it up as police commission versus the audience of citizens, we should probably add it as a formal agenda item.
Or at least try if they say no.
Audience of
Yeah.
citizens.
Yeah, and then we go to the audience decision.
Be so kind as to send me a text. Any questions? Summary of vehicle mileage. I guess that is what it is. So I see that Officer Megan Musanti is. We're working on AMR and toxilizer management programs in CERT assist for the expiration requirement tracking. Taser 10s have been added to the CERT assist and inventory feature to increase participants. Preparedness prior to attending training. Notification form has been created and will be emailed to participants. When registration confirmation is obtained from the requested training. So it looks like, is there any, in the cadet program, she participates in that?
She does the report. She's pretty busy doing a lot of other things, so she helps set up some of the events and stuff, because that's part of her job.
Oh, good job. Appreciate it, thank you. All right, so we're moving on to Lieutenant Rob Martin. Operations Division. So does anybody have any questions on Lieutenant Bradmore?
Comments, I can speak on behalf of myself, at the meetings that we've had, Chief, I've asked you, and I've also, parlayed that to Lieutenant Martin to, look at and focus on motor vehicle enforcement, and, asked and answered, you guys delivered. You guys, from what I see, it's 322 total traffic stop for the month,
Yes.
which is, trending in a major percentage increase higher. So, just some of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top officers, I just want to give credit to Officers LaJoy, Kennedy, O'Leary, Bennett, Clark, and Vinci, doing fantastic. So I just want to say thank you for your leadership in that regard. You know, there's some people at the bottom of the list that are lower, but I'd have to imagine they're either supervisors and or FTOs. So, I know that you guys are looking at that, but please, certainly, if they're not, please have words of positive encouragement for them to step up their enforcement.
Lieutenant Martin has reverted back to something that used to be done where the stops are getting posted. A little peer pressure never hurts.
Yep. So that's fantastic. They're doing well. Additionally, I saw some of the NIBRS numbers for shoplifting is down 76%. Motor vehicle theft is down 90%. Motor vehicle parts theft is down 75%. Burglaries are up from the previous month, but it's just one more. We're at a total of 2. And although one crime is one crime too many, I like to see it trending down. So in my mind, that's a positive reflection of your officers, supervisors, and team doing a great job. And then lastly, and that doesn't include the numerous NIBRs that you guys gave to us with drastic reduction in crime. So rape, assault, aggravated assault, all down 100%. Larcenies are down, credit card theft, impersonation. Some are higher, but it looks like it's all majority trending down, so that's good. And then lastly, I reviewed the overtime. It looks like we're on par to remain within the parameters of our budget. I just wanted to outline and have you guys look at, and I'm sure you could answer, but sick overtime was $17,765, it looks like,
Yeah, we have,
which is a little higher.
we
than
have
it's been
2
in
people
previous
that are out,
months.
we have 2 people that are out on surgeries right now,
Yeah, so we have to
off-duty
backfill.
injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 sergeants we're backfilling with
Oh, that's even
overtime.
more.
I know, we're getting
Yeah,
whacked on
yeah.
that.
Um,
We've got 2 of them out, so they're gonna be back on light duty, but they can probably only do light duty for, I don't know, a month or 2 before they're gonna
They
be
can get
cleared
cleared,
for full
yeah.
duty.
yeah.
So we still got a couple months to go before we stop filling those shifts, so. And then we had the other sergeant before that was out for 4 months on a surgery,
He's back.
so.
He's back, but you lost 2 others.
He just came back and then we lost 2 others.
How are they? I mean, are they gonna be okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Without explaining details.
Yeah, like shoulders, knees kind of thing. So actually, I think they're both shoulders.
shoulders,
Both
yeah.
So
shoulders.
that 17 grand is pretty much exclusive to those 2.
Yeah,
And then
a lot of it is.
the 7,800 for
Well,
overtime.
some of that was, what's her name in dispatch out at this month? She was out.
There might have been a dispatcher.
I think there was a
as well.
dispatcher that's included in there.
Okay.
And
that
then
was out.
that's distinguished from the BPD patrol line item, which is $7,800. That would be replacement of officers on the line. It's the last page of the pamphlet.
That's the-
vacancy tab.
That's the vacancy, yeah.
So that would be
I'll have to
officers
look at that.
on patrol as opposed to, how do we distinguish? Because they're both. One is overtime due to sick, one is overtime due to
That would be an empty slot.
an empty
That's
slot.
Like, so that would be the
Yeah.
44 through
vacancies.
48 that we're trying to fill,
Right.
that are
Right.
still on
Oh, that's
FTO.
like a lack of staffing?
Yeah.
Right.
Vacancy, okay, got it.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
We shouldn't receive that much.
Yeah. Yeah,
Once they get
that's-
off
See the
FTO.
bunch come up to
Yeah,
you.
we got two
Yeah.
more coming up soon,
Yeah.
so you'll see a lot
I
less
saw
of
one in
that.
February and March that were highlighted. Are they off at this point? in the meeting?
We have one right now still.
We're,
One-
so there's one left, is there one left?
One's
or-
left and Yang just came off.
I think Yang just came off, so now we have
Yeah,
one
Smith?
more
guy left.
left that we have to extend for a little while on FTO. He needs just a little more time.
Yeah.
So we just got two on and we anticipate having a third within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the other thing I just wanted to point out real quick, and this kind of has to do with, I mean, statistics can make them look whatever, people want to make statistics look the way they want it to look, but one of the things is, we've noticed an increase in arrests from car stops as well. We had a couple car stops that result in firearm recoveries, drug recoveries. We've had a lot of misdemeanors. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
We've had a lot of misdemeanor summonses. Misdemeanor summonses usually take quite a while because they're towing cars.
Mhm.
They might have to bring somebody in, suspension or something like that. So it's nice to see the suspensions, really the actual quality arrests going up as well. So that's something that's really good. I think they're doing a lot better.
And Chris, when you were reading off all the wonderful things that you've seen coming down, I'm gonna tell you right now, I think it's because we're really taking the intelligence-led policing to a new level downstairs with really putting those resources. We have Detective
Pinpointing.
Green has done a phenomenal job as an intelligence officer to almost the border of being an intelligence analyst on his own, plus with his time with task force. So we're really jumping on the things that instead of just our officers driving around aimlessly hoping to find stuff, we've done more directed patrols. And I know if Lieutenant Martin was here, he would tell you that a lot of that is because he's got his sergeants. They just have big sergeants meeting. They're directing patrols in certain areas. There's more of a teamwork effort between the Bureau and the patrol officers sharing the intelligence. We're all on Slack. Everybody's getting the same information. And the young officers love it because this is great for them. And we're pushing the older officers to.
Yeah, everyone's gotta do their part. Everyone's gotta play their part.
Yeah.
But when I see increase in numbers like this, and I hope they continue to trend up for everyone, to me, that's a reflection of the leadership and the culture of the department. So, please extend to Lieutenant Martin my many thanks as well. So, 322 stops in this town. I don't know if I read in Berlin Buzz, someone's complaining that Berlin PD stopping everyone now. What's going on? Well,
We got a phone call that I shared.
Yeah.
Well,
Where the guy's
We're
complaining.
also doing that speed grant too. We've only been doing it for a couple of weeks.
We're
So it
all
hasn't
over
really,
it.
it didn't really
No,
impact
it's not
these
impacting
stats.
this month
You'll
yet.
probably see that on next month.
Yeah.
Some, but yeah, we're doing the speed grant and some of these younger officers are working that. I was a little hesitant to see whether anybody's gonna do it because, we've had some issues with that. And, I gotta tell you, some of these younger guys, they're running with this.
Yeah.
And they are stopping a bunch of cars and they're writing tickets.
yeah, and it's not
So-
just tickets for the sake of tickets.
Right,
Yeah, I know
right.
you're not saying that.
These
but
are
I'm just saying,
quality.
thinking,
Mhm.
Quality
good
stops.
traffic stops. There are people that, sometimes would benefit from just speaking to them about the law.
Mm-hmm,
There are some people that would benefit from an infraction. There are
right.
some people that would unfortunately require a misdemeanor summons or an actual custodial arrest. So, I look at this and, it also has a deterrence effect on other people. When they see Berlin stopping cars,
Yeah.
maybe they're gonna think twice before they run a red light or cut someone off and end up
100%.
killing somebody. And
I
that's
mean,
what we
it's-
want to
it's-
prevent.
It's
Someone
quality of
getting hurt.
life.
Yeah.
That's the biggest complaint we get in the police department, and I'm sure other departments are the same. It's speeding.
Mhm.
People call us all the time for speeding. And so, that's the focus of
This afternoon, I wrote a 7th commendation letter to one of our newest officers for his efforts in DUI enforcement.
Yeah.
And I
Who
looked
is
at
that?
Bennett,
Bennett.
when the heck's up there too. The shift is on top of it.
Please put them in for the Matt Award.
Yeah, well, last year we had the first time in the state of Connecticut that 2 officers from one department got the top dog award. Usually it just goes to one person, but we had a tie and Matt gave it to both of them. And then we had 3 people. So Kennedy got an award last year too. So it was Clark, Musanti, and Kennedy.
Yeah, and there were some colder days in February too, and they're still going out.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine it's even gonna trend upwards. So just please,
Yeah.
at least on behalf of me, and I'm sure the rest of the commission, great jobs.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Giannone. Well done. Moving on to the deputy chief's training schedule. I see you have Officer Kozakowski as honor guard commander and Officer Colwanda Eck as Carfax. What's that all about? That kind of training?
Yeah, it's like an informational thing that you can put information and get data out of it. Carfax.
It's a partnership. We
Yeah.
report motor vehicle collisions and all too.
Oh,
They
that's
can
the
give us
same
data.
Right.
Carfax that you buy a car.
Right, right.
Oh,
They have a law
So-
enforcement arm.
One of the things to remember though is just in the next month or two, you're not going to see much training because we pretty much depleted our training across.
Yeah.
well, that's
I mean,
good.
we've done a lot of training. Basically, if an officer puts in for a training class, we think it's valuable to this department, we're approving it. And we will let it go until the money runs out. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it obviously has to be appropriate training, we don't just send them anything, but.
Does the union cover?
USAC stays on top of it.
Yes.
Union doesn't
What
cover
that
any
services
training
program
opportunities.
is best
They pay for
because it
everything.
Tracks
We
everything.
pay for meals. I mean, there's not a lot of training that's out of state, but occasionally we have to send somebody to a conference or something.
Mhm.
Most of it's in state and it depends. Like if it's a traffic related class, it could be $800 for one class, but it's a week long.
Mhm.
Most classes are somewhere in the area between $200 to $300 for a class. And it shows the officer's interest as well when they're putting in for these classes. And we're seeing a lot more of it than we have in the past too. So we're trying to stretch our dollar and we'll
Is-
make it.
The training amount is only $1,800 a year for the entire,
No.
okay, I was gonna say, where is it, where are we pulling?
Our training budget is, I think it was 65,000.
Okay, I was gonna say,
That's
cause I see the 1,800 for, but I'm assuming that's under professional.
Professional
Put on the
development, so
professional,
we,
yeah.
we actually had, $76,000.
Okay.
And we're down to about 7,000.
How much?
7,000, but professional development, it also includes, the cost for the academy. When we send, that's $3,800 a pop, every time we send somebody to the academy. This includes, all the costs associated with hiring somebody, like the psychs. We have to send people to the lie detector tests, all that stuff, that all comes out of professional development, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, also, all our ammunition comes out of professional development. And I think next year, they're actually renaming this training. And the small training column that has $1,800 in it, which is basically just for meals, that's gonna be transferred up to professional development, and I believe that's just renamed training for next year's budget, just to
Perfect.
consolidate a couple things, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot that comes out of that budget, it's not just training
Mhm.
classes.
Oh, interesting. Very good. Is there any other questions against the budget versus actual for February? General fund expense, well, good. Okay. No.
Our FOI position has been approved in the budget, assuming that it stays. I know some of you guys were there on the budget, but we were approved for one additional position and the FOI person. So we had asked for two, we got one, which I think well, they're all tight fiscal, they're all tight budget years, to be honest. But
Mhm.
I think the town has treated us very well. They've made public safety a priority, and so we're happy with where we are.
So when we got an approval from the finance board, it went to the town council, they also approved both positions.
Well, that
They-
hasn't been done
They
yet.
have to do the public
We have to vote on it.
Yeah.
thing on the
Yeah.
that's-
It's gotten
is that
past
on the eighth
finance.
too?
Now it has to be eventually approved by the town council.
Yeah.
I don't know that any cuts have been made. There could still be. But that's where we are right now. Right now, the budget has one new officer and the FOI position.
It's gotta go out to referendum.
We'll see if,
Yeah.
it's gotta go out to referendum.
You did a good job reading that one FOI case for the fender.
That was
Mhm.
You told us about
It was a little bit of a turning point there, I think,
Yeah, I
and
think
it's,
that helped
you know,
a
we
lot.
just don't understand how long these things take, so.
Question, when it comes to a FOI person, is it just somebody that you bring in and train from scratch? Or do
No,
they have a
you
background?
generally have to have a law enforcement background, but ideally we would be looking for a retired officer because they understand criminal law, they understand, they understand redaction, the things that need to be redacted. Now, yes, they have to have FOI training and some training on how to do the redaction and stuff like that, but you're way ahead of the curve if you have someone that was already in law enforcement. So that would probably be, somebody that would jump to the top of the list, somebody with that experience. It doesn't mean it has to be someone that was in law enforcement. It could be someone that's dealt with FOIs in the past as well.
Paralegal.
A retired paralegal, something like that, so, yeah, we'll see what presents itself. There's still a lot of details to be worked out with the town, because we're not sure whether this is gonna be union, not union.
It's gonna be part-time, right?
It's gonna be part-time.
And is it gonna be like in other duties as assigned? So if
Yeah,
there's no
we're-
FOIAs, you can.
We're gonna
use
make
the
use of them. Yeah, I would like them to do non-criminal fingerprints. Like the Board of Ed and stuff. If they're there that day and we get Board of Ed people coming in, they'll do it.
Yeah.
I'd like to get them maybe involved in accreditation to some degree.
You realize that the Board of Ed people get fingerprints.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We get tons and tons of people come from the Board of Ed.
Anyone that wants to volunteer in the school has to come in and get
Everybody,
the,
fingerprints.
everybody that
Everybody
walks
does.
into a school,
Yeah.
has to be fingerprint. I mean, not a parent that's going there.
but the parents still need to
If
be
you're
background
working or
checked.
volunteering, then you have to. So we do a lot of fingerprints. So yeah,
Drivers, driving inspectors.
yeah.
Driving instructors, all.
So
All your
our
bus
goal
drivers, your
would be
scout
to
leaders.
keep
all
them
those
busy.
programs.
So essentially, they're gonna be assigned to the records division. So they would fall under me. I would be their direct supervisor, as do the two clerks now. And they would also be available to fill in, like if both clerks were out for some reason, they could fill in on the window to give reports out, things like that.
So if you're slow on FOIA, you can.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a big if.
I mean,
That's the same. I mean,
You
some
never
of
know,
these,
sometimes
Yeah,
Some
you
of
always,
these-
you have ups and downs, you've got lows.
some of these are good, like I want the police crash report, others are like, I want this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
all records regarding
Yeah,
fill in the
so-
blank.
And some of them I want all the video and records for the last 2 years. And you can
That
do
will
that
take 2 years.
according to the
produce.
law, so that really gives us a lot of problems now with people just fishing.
It takes care of the freedom of information in business, money, correct? I believe we have nothing to go into executive session over, so I guess. That is.
Oh, I just want to say, one thing. That program, I took the two. They got separate colleges, it was nice, so I try to commend you on that, hopefully. So it seems like it's been, gonna be hopefully beneficial to us in the future with some future officers.
Yes. Yes, that's the idea, right? Feeder
Good
program.
springboard,
We'll be back in 4 years.
So-
Doing a big award ceremony this Saturday.
Yeah, they're doing the first time they're doing their own awards, on the award ceremony, and they're gonna get recognized for some different things. You get some certificates and they get some ribbons that they're in the organizations will have the same ribbons and stuff. So. And then the Mid-State Chiefs and Middletown and East Hampton, Portland all want to start cadet programs. They want to model them after our program. So I guess that the next month I'm going to be busy going to speak to these other chiefs, and they want to have their staff and all learn about things like liability and all.
They just come in here and see this program.
Well, some of their kids have been here already because we've been doing some joint drill training and meetings and stuff. And when you have a program that's good, kids in the other towns say, how come we can't go join that program? There's a lot of rules that how you can be in one program versus another and all. So it's for a program that's 3 years old. We'll be 3 years old in June.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Motion for adjournment,
So moved.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to throw it out there that to say I never answer your calls when you're calling in my